Hi, this yoga bite we are going to be focusing on our upper arm strength and our core strength. So I want you to come into a comfortable seated position as we close our eyes down and find a little bit of stillness and silence before we start to move. It's important that we connect to our body and to our breath, even with short sequence. We want to make sure we are moving with integrity and with the purpose with which we came to our mat. So see if you can land yourself down now in a way that is even. And whichever seated position you are in, feel the crown of your head reach upwards, like you are tensioning a bow. Feel the hips draw down, and feel the breath start to move through you. With every breath in, you might feel that length happening a little bit more, that reaching up. And you might feel a softening down on your exhale. Here it's like a yin and yang balance between a heating and a cooling, between an activation and a deactivation. Our breath will mirror this. And in fact, even on the inhale, as we feel that lengthening upwards and that natural rise of the air into the upper lobes of the lungs, we're also going to feel the diaphragm drop. So there is this constant movement in our body as we feel the exhale and that dropping down feeling of the out breath, that emptying out. There is a lift of the diaphragm. So there's the constant movement and motion within us. As you breathe, perhaps pay attention to whether or not you're breathing more through your right nostril or through your left. Can you tell the difference? Can you notice one more open than the other? On your inhale now, I want you to pay more attention to the right side. Notice your right lungs, the lobes of the lungs. How open do they feel? The right side of your diaphragm, or the right cylinder. Notice it. Is your in-breath feeling free? Or perhaps you can feel a little bit of a tug as your diaphragm presses against your liver. And then send your attention to the opposite side. Start to notice how your breath feels across your left side. You might notice the ribs expanding there. Notice the left lobes of the lungs. Can you breathe more or less into this side than the right side? And then maybe notice the diaphragm, the left cylinder of the diaphragm. Perhaps you can feel like you're breathing a little bit more as diaphragm presses into the belly, into the stomach. See what you can notice. Develop this new understanding, this new relationship with your breath and with your body through the practice of yoga. This state of relaxed attentiveness is what we are seeking on our mat through all of our postures. A mindful doing in everything that we do. And hopefully we can take that off of our mat as well. So from here, let's start to move physically now. I'm going to come into a few shortened rounds of our sun salutation. So come and find a child's pose. And if child's pose is not right for you for any reason, please find an alternative. It could be puppy pose, it could be downward facing dog. If you're coming into child's pose, your hips come back towards your heels now. You're going to start to lift your chest as you pull your belly in, find that length, and then come on forward, laying the torso across the thighs, hips pressing backwards there, and relaxing down towards the earth. As the hands press down, you feel that broadness across the upper back, and we start to prime the arms here for what's to come. Inhaling from now, I start to gaze forward towards my thumbs. I'm going to pick it up onto the bridge of the fingertips here. Again, if you are in downward facing dog, you can always take this out of your practice, that's fine. I'm going to start to drag the fingertips towards us, and I feel like I'm moving my chest, my heart forward towards the fingertips, although I don't change the pressure in the hips, they're still pushing back. And you'll notice perhaps how the muscles along your spine activate. You'll also perhaps notice as you bring your heart forward, how the muscles of the belly, the lower abdomen engage as well. And then I can relax that, release that. We'll all meet in our downward facing dog here. Middle finger or index finger pointing forward rather than ring or pinky. We want an external rotation to the upper arm. So if I'm bending my elbows, they are pointing back towards me. I tuck the toes under there, lift the hips on high. And then here, I'm going to do a little bit of a pedaling out, just opening up through the back of the body, bending a knee, pressing the other heel down. I'm really just taking my time with this. Being okay if we haven't come to our mat for a while, if we've got a little bit of tightness or tension from a night's sleep, or perhaps, you know, we're at the end of the day but we've been doing a lot of physical activity and things have tightened up. Maybe we've been sitting for a long time and the hamstrings might be tight from being in that contracted position all day. Maybe we just haven't practiced in a while. It's been a few days or a few weeks even. That's okay. Take your time with this. Now send your gaze backwards towards your heels and then see if you can pull the gaze up from there. There's a little bit of chin tuck here. So seek length through the back of the neck. You might find your gaze tracks up towards your knees, your thighs, your navel. And even if your physical gaze doesn't pull towards your navel, your internal gaze will. So navel backwards towards the spine there, zipping up. Unless you're prenatal, you'll find a little bit of flying up lock, Uddiyana Bandha there. So this lock is really almost like we're pulling our stomach up, tucking it underneath those lower ribs. That may be how it will feel for you. From here we're going to start to come forward into our plank pose, and you'll see I'll kick my heels back a little bit. I'll sort of shuffle my feet back just slightly there. I really want to feel an extension there. Through the heels, activating legs, priming neck. Takes some of the weight out of my wrists and the upper body, but I'm still going to get energy there. So I feel like my thumbs are pulling towards each other here. I take a few breaths, seek some length through the crown of the head so that the back of the neck isn't feeling cramped there. As we exhale, you can pop your knees down or you can come through a full chaturanga. I'm going to demonstrate both. As we exhale, we lower down. Inhaling to a back bend, it might be upward facing dog or cobra pose, pressing tops of feet down to earth, squeezing those shoulder blades. As we exhale, we'll come on back, finding downward facing dog or child's pose. And then we make our way back into down dog if we're not already there. So much to remember with our downward facing dog. So many parts of our body activating and stretching and strengthening. So it really is an ideal pose to build strength and balance. Again, that word balance, that seeking of evenness between the hands and the feet. Inhaling there, I'm going to come forward again. Plank pose, pressing the earth away from me here. Feeling the belly pull in the tailbone long. Taking another breath. And then again, full or half, chaturanga, four-limb staff pose, into a back bend. Your choice. You can roll over the toes, drawing into your upward facing dog. Exhaling, coming on back, downward facing dog. Now hopefully the body is starting to feel a little bit warm here. We're going to do another 2 of these, and we're going to pick up the pace. Inhale and come forward to plank. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale to a back bend. Exhaling, downward facing dog. Substitute that one again with your child's pose if you need it. We're going to take 2 breaths. Inhaling there, come on forward. Exhale. Inhale, back bend. Exhale, downward facing dog. Once again, taking a couple of breaths and letting yourself settle into it. Inhaling from here, let's come forward into that plank pose. Once again, lift one foot up. Breathing there. Lowering the toes down towards the earth. Pick the heel up and down towards the earth. Pick the heel up and down towards the earth, placing toes down. Go to the other side, pick the heel up. Doesn't have to be big. Lower the toes down, little tap there, and picking it up and lowering down. And picking it up, squeeze of the glutes, lowering down. Separate the feet out a little bit wider here. Take a deep breath in and then drop the heels down to one side. And heels point up and heels pull down. Up. One more time each side. And up. And down. Inhale it up. We're going to go down to the side. Take it into a side plank here if you'd like to. Press down, again, quite vigorously into the earth. If you need to adjust for this one, please do. Allow the top arm to come up and over. Reaching sideways. Lift the hips high. Inhaling, return that hand down to earth and go to the other side. Again, it's optional to lift that right hand away. It'll come up and over the head. Keep lifting the hips. One more breath there. And returning hand back down to earth. Come all the way down onto belly. Squeezing the shoulder blades towards each other, rise your chest up. Exhale, dropping down. And inhale, rising up. And exhale. And then gazing towards the right. And exhale. And gazing towards the left. And exhale. From here, allow the arms to come a little bit forward, and we're going to come into Sphinx pose. Tops of the feet pressing down. Heart again feels like it's dragging forward, just like when we have the fingertips to the earth in child's pose. A breath or two there. And again, we're going to come into a side plank. This time it's an elbow variation. So we soften that back bend off. I'm going to pivot my right forearm to the earth and I'm rolling now onto my right side. Now it's important that I'm not slouching, that I've got a little bit of pressure with the elbow down to the earth. I'm going to activate the legs, coming onto the blade of the foot. Taking a nice deep breath, bring the belly in towards the spine, and then lifting up. And again, I can do any variation. I might do this one a couple of times, holding and breathing, and then releasing down. You can have a little bit of a rest if you need to. You can always hold if you prefer. I'm going to come into this one again, inhaling. And if you're a little bit more advanced, allow that top leg to float up. You can also reach up and over, whichever variation you're wanting to work with today. Come on down when you are ready. Releasing those hips down. And then from here, bring your top knee and let that shin fall across the bottom leg. I'm going to kick my right heel away, so that's my bottom leg, and draw that heel up towards the ceiling. So I'm bringing thighs close towards each other, and I hold for 3, 2, 1. Strengthening the adductors there on the inside edge of the thigh. We drop that foot back down. I'm going to turn myself back down towards the earth, but I'm sliding my knee out in order to do that. And I'm going to bring my elbows out to the side. I'm holding here, gazing, usually in the same direction as my knee. Taking a couple of breaths. And then returning now. He's going to come all the way back. Tops of the feet press. And I'm just going to extend those legs again. See if there's any different from hip to hip. Just checking in with myself. Forehead can come down with the backs of the hands if that's comfortable for you. And then we build ourselves back up into that Sphinx pose. Elbow under shoulder, elbow under shoulder. Once again, pubic bone is into the earth. My glutes here are engaged, so I'm actually squeezing up towards my lower back as I drag the elbows towards me and the heart forward. Belly pulling in. And then I'm going to go to the other side. So here my left forearm lays across and I roll onto that left side. And once again, I've got a straight leg. And you'll see I'm tucking the blade of the foot under there, so it gives me more height. Inhaling to lift. Holding there for a couple of breaths, any variation. So if you do need to pop the top leg down, or you need to tuck the bottom leg under, the shin to the earth, that's okay. We can come down for a little bit of a rest if we need to. Perfectly okay to do that, or hold and breathe through this practice. And again, I'm going to rise up. Strong, purposeful breaths, purposeful movement. Top leg can rise up. Any variation that you want to go into is okay here. And then coming back down in your own time. Again, bending that top knee, landing it across the shin, and we're going to zip up into the inner thigh here, picking the heel up, seeing if we can bring the thighs closer. I'm using Mula Bandha there. Anytime I'm engaging this upper inner thigh, I'm going to feel a lift. And if you can't feel that, think about the lower abdominals drawing in. That will help you access your pelvic floor. And we relax down now. And then again, I'm going to roll onto my belly and I'm taking this right neck a little bit wider in order to get the hip opening there. Elbows are going to open out wide. I'm going to gaze in the direction of my knee. And then from now, we're going to come back So hand is going to be underneath the shoulder. Hand is going to be underneath the shoulder. I'm going to bring this heel back again, and for a moment pause, noticing the pelvis, so coming more into that neutral position. And then it's all the way back to child's pose. Downward facing dog is a substitute. Use your arms to bring you back, hips towards heels. Again, we can hold here. Now, if you need to take some of the weight out of the arms after doing the upper body stuff, sweep one hand back, other hand back, and land the forehead down. At this point, let's come into Dolphin. A little bit of an inversion, very much like our downward facing dog, and we've primed the arms in those side planks. So I land a forearm down, and I land a forearm down, and I'm going to grab a hold of the upper arms. If you're not used to doing inversions, be okay with coming in and out of this. I might just walk it a little bit further forward so I've got some space here. Be okay with coming up in and out, dropping the knees down if you do need to. From there, I'm going to widen the arms forward, interlace the fingers, pop the blade of the hand down to the earth, and I'm going to suck the upper arms in, giving myself a nice brace. Toes will tuck under, hips will lift high, chest presses back. Now, I've got a shortened stance. The wider you go, the more you might feel this in the arms. So I shorten my stance a step or so in and bend the knees a lot if I need to. Okay. Nice deep breaths there. Then I really want to press those forearms down. As you do that, you'll feel the belly pull in, and it's almost like I'm lifting the pelvis a little bit higher if I push down. Inhaling from here, and we're going to bring it down, and then nice and slowly I'm going to stack fist to fist and forward and have a breath or two. We've got one more pose to do before we end today's session. So once again, leading very slowly on up. And then we're going to flip it around, turn our hands towards our hips, squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other, feet are to the earth, knees are bent, belly is pulling in, hips lift upwards, and we come into this upward facing table position. I gaze towards my navel. I could take my head back, okay, that's perfectly okay. But if you're feeling a little bit funny through the neck, keep the chin a little bit tucked in. Breathing there. And see if you can lift the hips any higher as the body starts to open. And then all the way back down with the hips. Okay, walk it a little bit forward. Give it a seated cat-cow to finish. Just releasing any tension essentially. Exhaling. Inhaling, opening up. And then this time giving ourselves a really big hug. So you can take the arms across the shins and behind the thighs. Land your forehead down. And that might be where you decide to stay for the next minute or so. Just breathing, connecting to self, giving yourself lots of love and thanks for the practice that you've entered into today. Whether or not it felt strong or shaky, know that there is an unlimited amount of internal strength within you. At the moment, you're just clearing the path, sweeping away the debris. so that you can access that energy, so that it can flow more fully into expression of yourself. Feel free to continue with another video or stay here just as long as you would like to. Thank you so much for your attention. Namaste.